This is me. I'm Mark Ardito. Here's my Twitter handle. Here's my LinkedIn profile. I tweet a lot about healthcare, tech, innovation, disruption, and Chicago Cubs. So if you like any of those things, follow me on Twitter. I'm pretty active there. All right, HCSC. You guys probably don't know who HCSC is, so let me give you some context. Hopefully these logos help. You can kind of get a sense here. So HCSC is the largest customer-owned health insurer in the United States, and we are the 4th largest health insurer overall. We operate through our Blue Cross and Blue Shield plans in Illinois, Montana, New Mexico, Oklahoma, and Texas. HCSC, we operate as an independent licensee of the Blue Cross Blue Shield Association. We employ just over 22,000 employees, and we provide Blue Cross Blue Shield coverage to over 15 million people. Although most of our coverage is for employee-sponsored plans, we also have members in our government program, Medicare, Medicaid, and also in our retail products, which is the Affordable Care Act. So, Healthcare Service Corporation. We are an 80-year-old company. Health insurance started right around the time between World War I and World War II. It was basically, it started out and it was an incentive for employers to give employees to come and work for them at these corporations. When healthcare first started, they had an HMO and a PPO product, and it was a fee-for-service type of situation. You go to the doctor, you receive service, they sent a claim to us, we paid the claim, fee-for-service. It's basically the industry today as well. So the industry is prime for disruption. As you can see, not much has changed. So we see a lot of disruption coming in. So this slide here, I was trying to think of some graphic to put up here to talk about disruption, and I was Googling disruption and nothing was working out for me. And so I just went and I said, you know what? Let's define disruption. I thought this was pretty powerful stuff to read the actual dictionary definition of disrupt. And it is happening in healthcare, and that is why we need to transform. So I talked a little bit about the history. 80-year-old company, HMOs, PPOs, you know, we need to figure out how to change in this industry as well. We see a lot of what happened in the FinTech space starting to happen in health insurance, where what we're seeing is people don't, like in the FinTech movement, people didn't want to be the bank, right? Being a bank is really hard, just like being a health insurer is really hard. But people said, well, I can be this really small company in the financial industry, and I can help you move currency, or I can help you convert currency, or I can help you make a payment, or I can help do other things. I can be an automated financial advisor for you. You don't need these people at financial advisor firms. You can have something like Wise, Banyan, or Betterment to do that for you with a computer. We start to see that in healthcare. We have people that are trying to do one piece of the solution of the payer solution, and they are disrupting that end-to-end flow for us. We see companies out there today that are a digital-only health insurance company. And that is taking off so fast that Google actually decided to invest in this digital-only health insurance company. We see people creating transparency tools. We see people starting up companies that want to help employers create their own products. So HCSC doesn't create these products anymore. These are companies trying to help employers create their own products and negotiate their own networks. Obviously, we feel we do that really well, so not sure why that works. But so tons of disruption going on. That was why we needed to change. Okay, so now we have this case for change. What are we going to do? But change is really, really hard. And especially change is really hard when you're an 80-year-old company with 22,000 employees. Just that idea of change is really hard. So do we have support to transform? Where is this coming from? Like, how can we change and how fast can we change? This year at HCSC, we just got a new CEO, Paula Steiner. Amazing woman. She was our chief strategy officer, now is our president and CEO. First kind of week on the job, she holds a town hall, and the quote out of her was, "We are an IT organization in the healthcare sector." So to hear our CEO make those words on her first week as the CEO, pretty impressive. We have full support at our C-level to do this transformation and to be best in class in our IT solutions as well. So, okay, so now we've got our case for change. We needed to create some impactful business capabilities. So IT is kind of aligned now into a product-focused mentality instead of project. I'm sure large organizations, you've heard this before, people have done projects for years. Gantt charts, Microsoft project, the full thing. We needed to align and get our applications based upon products and move into that software engineering mentality of these products. Products live on forever. Projects are very short in duration. And we just see a project as a funding mechanism to get money into the product itself. So we aligned into our lines of business and into core capabilities with our products. We needed to create efficient and robust IT operations, so moving to new tool sets. We needed to get to something like Pivotal's Cloud Foundry, platform as a service, infrastructure as a service. We see that we would typically over-provision hardware for environments where we were really busy during open enrollment, but then a lot of those servers just sat stagnant when it wasn't open enrollment. So moving to something like Cloud Foundry allows us to deploy provision when necessary and be elastic in those capabilities. Deliver excellence. So better quality. We needed to increase our quality of delivery. We have a huge amount of technical debt on our books, and it's just from the history of us delivering in this project mentality instead of delivering as a product and always having that vision of an end product. And be flexible and agile. We needed to figure out a new way to work. Our typical model was, we'll do 4 releases in a year, and maybe I get a minor release in between those 4. That really doesn't get us to market in a timely, flexible, agile fashion. And so we were hindering our business. Our business wanted to transform, get new products, be creative, do some of this disruptive, innovative things, but we as IT couldn't figure out how to get there fast enough. Okay, so this new model that we implemented at HCSC, this will allow us to transform. So our current state that we were at, we were very complex, we were very rigid, it was very expensive. Large technical debt, like I said, from a world of project-based work, we incurred a ton of technical debt and we're working to pay that off now. And then we were really focused on daily ops, just day-to-day operations, like that was like our main focus. We never had our eye on what's coming months later, years later, where are we going in our roadmap. So now in our future state, we are very capability focused. High velocity, responsive, limited technical debt, we're constantly refactoring, and variable costs as well. So how are we gonna get here? This is the big question. Okay, great, this sounds fantastic, what are we doing? So we're going to 3 different delivery models at HCSC. So I think everyone's pretty familiar with Gartner last year or 2 years ago. Their big thing was bimodal. We disrupted Gartner and we said we're going trimodal. So Gartner said go bimodal, and basically the 2 modes. You know, one was slow, methodical, one was fast, iterative, agile, things like that. So we said, you know what, we really have 3 types of systems at HCSC. We have systems of record, we have systems of experience, and we have systems of differentiation. These are apps and products that we want to be differentiating in the marketplace with. And so that's why we came up with this kind of 3-tier model of delivery. So optimized waterfall, those are our membership systems, our claim systems. I need that to be very stable, very production ready at all times. We can go slow and methodical, that's okay. I don't need to change very fast in some of those systems. And then we'll go to a Scrum based, that is our systems of experience. I need to get faster than 4 times a year for delivery, but but I don't need to be every day going to production, or I don't need to be once a week going to production. It's okay if I go every 4 weeks, or every 2 weeks, every sprint. That's okay. So for that, we're gonna do Scrum System of Experience. Now, we're implementing extreme programming for our systems of differentiation. These are capabilities where we are being disrupted today by some of those outside players. We feel we can be doing that even better than they do. We have 80 years of experience in this space. We gotta figure out a way that we can get faster into that. So for us, that was XP, extreme programming. So super small, lean teams, around 4 to 6 people, tops. Only new development we're taking this approach with, and rapid, frequent delivery. So where did we start? Last year in, So last year in 2015, we decided, all right, let's give this thing a shot. Let's see what we can do. We, at HCSE, we needed a way to aggregate member information. And so we came up with this idea of this cloud marketing tool, contact strategy and engagement. Basically, it's a centralized view of members' contact information, phone numbers, addresses, email addresses, et cetera, their preferences. So how do they like to be communicated to? Electronically, paper, Spanish, English, other languages. We needed to be able to respect a member's preferences because they told us that. And also we needed to keep track of the contacts we're attempting to make to that member. So all these systems at HCSC are sending out communications. I need to aggregate all of that history so when that person calls us, I know exactly how I communicated with that person. So we thought this was a good example to try and pull off at this XP approach with Pivotal Labs. So we go over to Pivotal Labs and we took 2 developers with us. It's gonna be 2 pairs. So 2 pivots, 2 HCSC developers. We go over to Labs. We have a product manager and a product designer. So we head over there and we start. And so we figure out what our MVP is. So that's the products, our minimum viable product for us to actually release that could do all those things that I explained, aggregate members. So when we go to Pivotal, we kind of scope this thing out. And before we went, we had gone internally and we did an estimation process. If we were to go with waterfall, how can I do this, build it out in waterfall with all of our systems here at HCSC? So we anticipated your typical 9-month waterfall project. You have a lot of BAs, you do tons of requirements, you then do some design work, you then do some building, you then do some testing, you deploy, rinse, repeat through maybe a few cycles of that. 9 months, you probably have, we anticipated around 20 people. So we went to Pivotal with 6 people on this project. We kicked it off. When we did the inception, we kind of thought like, all right, 12 to 15 weeks probably, we think we can probably get this MVP done. So fast forward, and in around 5.5 to 6 weeks, we finished MVP. It was crazy how fast we worked in this model. And so we started scratching our heads of, how does that happen? What was the secret sauce? What was the dust that we sprinkled on this? How did we do something in 5 to 6 weeks that we thought we could deliver in 9 months? This is impossible. What we figured out was we are really inefficient at working, really inefficient. So I'll give you a day in the life of a developer, sometimes at HCSC. Developer comes in, turns on their machine, they log into their email client, maybe their instant messenger logs in as well, and they get an instant message window pretty much right away when they get in. Hey, Bill, can you help me with this thing? So he probably answers a few things. He talks to that person over IM, maybe a Slack channel, something like that. So they're going back and forth talking, and uh-oh, it's 9 o'clock, time for my first meeting. So Bill gets up from his desk, he goes to his first meeting, and he's at the meeting, and then he goes to his 10 o'clock meeting, and he's at that meeting, and now he's back at his desk, and it's 11 o'clock. He's 2 hours into his day, still hasn't written code yet. So maybe he sits down and he starts to write some code at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, lunchtime. So he gets up from his desk, goes to lunch, comes back, goes to his 1 o'clock meeting, comes back at 2 o'clock, writes some code. He gets interrupted while he's doing that. He's answering instant messages. Someone told him there's this email chain going on, respond to that. And by 5 o'clock, he's done for the day and he goes home. He worked a very interrupted day with hands on keyboard, probably about 3 hours, but working in a very interrupted fashion. So when we did this approach for extreme programming with Pivotal Labs, we co-located over at Labs. We took ourselves out of this environment and we went over to that environment. And we sat and we worked from 8 in the morning until 5 at night. That's it. It was a very set schedule. And what we figured out was, if we just work uninterrupted, we co-locate our business and IT developers together, we can get a lot accomplished very efficiently. And it's been a huge success for us. One of the quotes, we're a couple weeks into the effort and kind of pulling guys aside at the office, like, hey, how are you liking this? What's your feedback? I need to get some stories back to headquarters. How are people liking this? And the one developer said to me, Mark, I've written more code in 1 week than I did at 2 months back at our headquarters. It was astonishing. And the other feedback I was getting was, please let me stay here forever. I really like to do this. I'm a developer. Please don't send me back to have meetings again because you hired me to be a developer. Just let me be a developer. I don't want to go to these meetings and do that requirement work. So the light bulb went off for us and it was like, got it. Now we need to figure out how to take that behavior and bring it back to our headquarters as well and start to be very efficient at what we do. But part of it too was we moved into this product cycle. Products have a life. Projects are very short in duration. Products live forever. And I love this infinity symbol. I think you guys have seen this a bazillion times. It's on a bunch of people's decks. But it's this idea of continuous testing, continuous integration. You're always iterating through and through and through. Test-driven development, refactoring, small releases, CI, paired programming, always building. This is something that we could never get to at HCSE before, was always building. We never had a CI pipeline. We never had continuous delivery. So this was something brand new for us. And once we got onto that, it was very fast. This is what our pipeline looks like. People sitting at computers, paired programming, they're committing into Git. Jenkins picks that up. Jenkins deploys that onto Pivotal Cloud Foundry. Something that we have never been able to do. But by moving to something like Cloud Foundry, it is infrastructure as a service. It is platform as a service. We could now automate everything with the push of a button CF push. Always building. This stat blows me away. Back at HCSE on our typical waterfall projects, we're committing to repos. We have merge conflicts. People dread build day. They dread it. Everybody's fighting with merge conflicts. Build days are taking a day. Maybe they spill into 2 days. People are trying to do merge. We could never figure out and get quick at this thing. But move over to a CI, continuous integration pipeline, like Git, Jenkins, Cloud Foundry, and this is what we get. These number of commits are unreal for us to get to. We're averaging 110 commits a week. And every commit we make executes our full regression test bed as well. We're executing 2,000 automated test cases every commit we make, and they're executing in about 2 to 3 minutes. So every commit makes a build, every build gets deployed. We're deploying every commit here in about 5 minutes, and we're averaging about 110 a week. Insane to hear those numbers, especially from someone who went from, I have no pipeline, to, oh, I have a pipeline, and this is what I can get out of it. So truly transformative for us as an IT organization to get to numbers like this. So then the business also had to transform as well, because they had to figure out how to write stories and requirements in this fashion. I'm eating away at backlog really, really fast. And I need product owners and business people to be co-located with me, accepting these stories. Every time I commit, they need to be accepting or rejecting those stories. But they also had to get good at writing those stories and figuring out how to tell a developer enough information to make it useful. So we started to measure our rejection rate of stories. Remember I said every commit we're doing is a build, someone accepts or rejects it. So we started to measure how good is our business at working with us. And so remember I said we're committing about 110 times per week. This is the rejection rate across that same span of time. So we're starting out, week 1, week 2. Our business is rejecting about 5 stories a week. And then we get really good. And the business figures out how to write stories with us, and they're transforming with us. So it's IT and business transforming together as one product team. We're no longer siloed. We sit together. We're a product team together. IT enabling our business to move forward. And we start to get streaks of weeks here where we have 0 rejected stories. Everything we are writing is high quality, and it's passing every test case. So this is product 1 in 2015. We basically pull this off, like I said, in the 5 to 6 week period. Everything after that for the rest of 2015, it's gravy. It's icing on the cake, and we're delivering more and more and more, and we're just knocking it out of the park. Sounds great. How do I get this thing going faster and faster? I need more products to get into here. So what's next for Healthcare Service Corporation, HCSC? So like I said, 2015, we pilot this thing. It's a huge success. We're in 2016. I have 6 product teams up and running right now in a XP fashion. Remember I said we have 3 forms of delivery at HCSC we're moving to: an optimized waterfall, a Scrum, and an XP delivery. So in 2016, this is the year we are really focusing on reorganizing our IT and business places to come focused around products. Get them into their delivery mechanisms, their delivery models this year. So we're moving those products around, reorganizing our org, moving people with the products, getting them activated in Waterfall, Scrum, and XP. So then in 2017, we are fully executing in this delivery model. So the key for us is we needed to get into this XP model so we could be the disruptors. We need to be disrupting the disruptors, and we will in 2017 and beyond. So I'm fully confident in our team at HCSC, our IT staff, our business staff, super creative, energetic people. So sky's the limit for this stuff. So again, this is me. Look me up on LinkedIn, Twitter. I'm pretty active on both sites. And I will answer some questions if you guys have any. Yeah?
I have 3 questions.
Okay.
So the very first one, so one of the outcome of a workshop, I believe, is the MVP, the minimum viable product.
Yep.
So first question is, can you give us one real example of an MVP? One. Second, typically we find projects having so many dependencies. The upstream interfaces, the downstream interfaces. So it's not just one application getting changed.
Yep.
Accordingly, the other interfaces should get changed. How did you manage working with the other groups?
Yep.
When you're doing so agile?
Yep.
That's the second question. Third question, how did you manage to get funding from business for these XP projects? It's sometimes difficult to get funding, so any thoughts on that?
Sure. So I'll start with question 1. So first was MVP, and it's this idea of you kind of start on day 1 and you're trying to figure out what is that MVP that makes this whole thing look like a package that we can deliver. And for us, like I said, it's that contact strategy and engagement. For us, it wasn't about full integration across every single app in our enterprise. What we needed to prove for MVP was, let's aggregate the data in our ecosystem, gather that together, write all the rules on this is a valid address, that one's not a valid address, I see this email address always gets bounced, that one's a good email address, things like that. Aggregate that together, create a set of microservices. So we essentially created the plumbing for every other app to go to. So I ran pipes out to every single app in our organization, and I said, when you're ready, that pipe is right there waiting for you. You just grab that pipe. It is a RESTful API, and you can integrate with it. So for us, MVP was build the pipes. That was how we kind of termed that while we were at labs, was let's build the pipes, extend them to all the houses, and when they're ready in their waterfall fashion, Scrum fashion, whatever that is, they can integrate with it. So that was it. And I think that kind of answered question 2 a little bit. How do you integrate with all that? And I'm sorry, what was number 3?
3 was the funding aspect.
Oh, funding, yep. So it was tough to do funding for project 1, right? So everybody said, well, I'm really used to doing things this way, and you want to go do it that way? I'm not sure I want to spend money to do that. However, once we had product 1 and we proved how successful it was, hey, I got all this money. Can we do this next thing for you? So it went viral at our headquarters of, wait, these people did what in 6 weeks? How did they deliver that? Yeah, just working in a new way. So it is starting to become on fire a little bit. More and more people want to get their products brought into that delivery model. So
I hope you got a big bonus for that one.
yeah. Yeah, next question.
In response to the pair programming, they accepted, don't want to break that.
Yeah, you know, so the question was, how did people respond to paired programming? It's been very well received. Very nervous going in. Obviously, it's something brand new. And you know, this idea of I'm going to sit next to somebody and we're going to each look at our monitors and have 2 keyboards and 2 mice, like this is something totally foreign to us. And so, you know, when we did the selection of, okay, well, who's going to go do this? I made people self-select into it. So come to me, bang on the desk, tell me why we need to change, because the people that spoke up the loudest, I knew that they were going to be very successful in this model. They wanted the change to actually happen. So they went in with an open mind and they killed it. They knocked it out of the park. So it's those types of people that we really look for, and we see them just volunteering in the organization. I want to go do this. I want to do paired programming. Super nervous going in. Pretty much everybody responds with, please don't ever let me leave this. I love this environment. So we've seen a huge success in paired programming, and just that environment of, I don't have to go to the meetings, and I'm working on this product, and this is what I do. And we even have, like I said, we have 6 products up and running now in XP. I have people rotating through different products. So you get kind of bored on this one, I rotate you through to the next one, you know, and we're constantly iterating through that. So it's been a lot of success at HCSC. Yeah.
So, I mean, so healthcare being very regulated and compliant, I mean, government certified.
Yep.
How do you bring in the HIPAA and the FDA aspects when you're through Agile? Because it takes time to get everything being taken care of.
Yeah. Yeah, so the question was, healthcare is very regulated. Lots of audits, NAIC MAR, lots of stuff going on in healthcare, HIPAA, PHI, SPI, all that kind of data. How did we deal with that moving in a fast, agile fashion? So this is something that we really looked at hard at HCSC, was we had become really slow at delivery because we had so many ceremonies we had to get through to do delivery, meaning producing documentation, Word docs, Excel documents, just producing all these things so people can go look at them and say, yep, that looks good. Okay, and now we're ready to go to production. We go to like a meeting and people talk through the release and what does the plan look like, and it's just this big drawn out process. And so we took a look at it, put it up on the whiteboard and said, what do we need to do for audit reasons? Let's get back down to what are the actual decisions that we're trying to prove out here in our audit process. Turns out we had been putting on a lot of layers of, well, let's do this thing. And it was way beyond what we even needed to be doing. So we took that holistic approach of how we can look at things, prove things out. Turns out it's really easy to track a story in Tracker, to a commit that got made in Git. So I know the SHA that was in Git that was that tracker story. I know the Jenkins job that picked up that commit and made a build. And then I know the Jenkins job that pushed it out to Cloud Foundry. And guess what? I have this in the tools. There's logs of all these things happening. So slowly, I was able to start to prove out auditability just from Jenkins logs, GitHub SHAs, things like that. So we started to see that it started to become easier and easier to prove audits instead of Word documents, Excel documents. You could type anything you want in a Word document. You can't fake a log from Git, and you can't fake a log in Jenkins or Cloud Foundry. So, yeah. All right. Well, yeah, one more. Yeah.
Actually, the original project, the MVP for that, before, did you come into the Pivotal offices with the story? And how long did it take you to get that original story?
Yeah, so when we came in with our first project for CSE, we came in, we thought we knew what MVP kind of looked like, but you always kind of morph what MVP looks like as you go on. So it took us probably a good week to a week and a half, 5 to 7 business days to figure out what am I going to deliver. And once we got past that aha moment, it was just cruising after that. But it's that discovery phase of trying to figure out what can I build that actually gets me this functionality. So we started with the capabilities that we wanted to get out, and then we can start to refine what that MVP looks like.
So you worked with Pivotal, developing the MVP as opposed to bringing it in from the home office?
Correct. We came in with a set of capabilities. I want to do X, but to do X, I'm going to have to build these sets of things underneath. And so that's what Pivotal helped us kind of realize on how to really frame work and break it up into small chunks. So, cool. Well, thanks everybody. Really appreciate it.